All the peanut butter and chocolate vibes. Oh my god. Guys, Halloween is kind of right around the corner, which means that there's going to be a lot of desserts out there that are really high in sugar and are not going to help you achieve your weight loss goal. So today I'm sharing the 4 best desserts that you can use for Halloween that'll actually help you achieve your weight loss goal in today's video. All right guys, if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, my name's Autumn and I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance. On my channel, I'm typically sharing with you the science-backed information and holistic information that you can use in order to feel amazing again. And part of that is making sure that you can actually enjoy your Halloween with some desserts that won't ruin your wellness goals. The main idea for how to actually include a dessert that'll help you achieve your wellness goals and not hurt your wellness goals is to make sure that it is a lower sugar option and that it's going to be more satiating. We want to keep the sugar as low as possible while still satisfying that sweet tooth so that you don't get those blood glucose spikes and falls that result in the increased insulin that result in the storage mode. But we also do want to make sure that it is satiating, because no matter how low sugar it is, if it's not satiating, you're going to keep on wanting more and more. And that of course is not going to work with your wellness goals. So those are the 2 main factors that we're really going to be focusing on with the desserts that we talk about today. So we're first going to talk about 3 desserts, and then for the 4th dessert, I'm actually going to show you this recipe. It's super simple, something that you actually can bring to a party if you wanted to, or even while you're passing out candy to trick-or-treaters, you could have this one on the side for you. Now the first dessert that we're going to talk about is avocado chocolate pudding. Sounds so weird. I realize that because you don't associate avocado with a sweet dessert. But if you're a chocolate pudding fan, this is actually a way to have chocolate pudding without it having high amounts of sugar. Plus the fat will make it more satiating, so you don't need to have more and more of it. This is actually something that I use with a lot of my clients who have younger kids who don't really like avocado or don't really like any type of healthy fats. In fact, I have one client who was about 6 or 7 and she wasn't getting enough fat in her diet and instead was having a lot more processed food ingredients just because she was 6 and that's what she liked. And as a result, she was in a much more inflamed state, and so she had eczema. Once we were able to sneak in the avocado and also coconut butter with another dessert that I've talked about in the past, which actually swapped out those higher sugar foods that she was having and replaced it with these better sources of fat instead, her eczema really went down and she never even knew that it was avocado. Now I'll have the whole recipe for the avocado chocolate pudding down in the description below so you can use that. It's one that I use for my client and it's a great option for a lower sugar dessert that's also going to be more satiating. Okay, the second dessert, talked about this one a lot, but I really just want to bring it up again, dark chocolate. Now dark chocolate actually has a ton of really great benefits, mostly because it comes from cacao. Cacao is a really great source of magnesium, of fiber, surprisingly high in fiber actually. And because it is slightly bitter, it allows you to satisfy your sweet tooth, but it doesn't make you keep on coming back for more because of that slightly bitter taste. Now I recommend at least 72% dark chocolate. If you like even darker, better. That just means it's going to have more cacao in it, which is where most of the benefits come from. So about 1 ounce of this is perfect. Also guys, I have something really exciting to announce if you haven't seen in my previous videos. The fall intermittent fasting challenge, which you guys have been asking me so much about, is starting on September 23rd. That's on a Monday. So I have all the details on how you can join in down in the description below. This last summer we had the 2nd annual summer intermittent fasting challenge and the AM peeps all had such a really great experience where they had increased energy levels, decreased bloating, improved weight loss, and just increased satiety and overall feeling really great. So if you want to join in on the fall intermittent fasting challenge starting September 23rd, make sure you check out that link in the description below. Now since we're on the topic of chocolate, I mean chocolate is a really great way to have a dessert that's not going to be too high in sugar. The 3rd one is chocolate covered berries, and specifically berries. As we just talked about, chocolate can have a lot of really great benefits and it's going to be lower in sugar compared to something like a Snickers bar. But if you want a little bit more of a something, some additional level of sweetness or maybe a little bit of tart, that's where making chocolate covered berries is actually fantastic for this. Plus the berries are in general lower sugar fruits, particularly raspberries, and they tend to be higher in fiber too. So remember, we want to focus on satiety. So with fiber, you're going to have the increased stretch mechanism in your stomach that tells your brain that it's full. Pair that with the bitterness of the chocolate and you're not going to have excessive amounts of chocolate covered berries. And it's really important to make sure you're using fresh berries, not dried, because the dried berries aren't going to have the water content that can also contribute to making you feel full. So blueberries, raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, I realize some of those aren't actually true berries, but they do have similar types of profiles of the fiber and the lower sugar content. Okay, now we get into the recipe. So this recipe I call the peanut butter and chocolate bomb. A typical Halloween dessert that I remember when I was young is Reese's peanut butter cups. So I actually took that peanut butter chocolate type of flavor and made it into this dessert. So I actually pre-made some so I can show you first. I already clearly had a couple. It's really hot in here, so this actually feels really good. So this recipe is also very simple too. It does have a small amount of sugar in it, but it's not a highly processed form of sugar. Plus it does have the bitter aspect of the chocolate and the fat from the peanut butter, which helps to make it a little bit more satiating. So let's make it. I'm gonna put my hair back for this. I'm notorious for getting food in my hair. Okay, so the ingredients for this dish. Maple syrup, so I use pure maple syrup, organic, so this isn't going to be used with high fructose corn syrup, which is actually something that's very common with a lot of different types of maple syrup. So just make sure that you're getting pure maple syrup. And you can actually see in the ingredients, I don't know if you can see it on here, but it literally says organic maple syrup and that's it. So if you have maple syrup at home, make sure you check the actual ingredients label that it doesn't say high fructose corn syrup, because that's a very common ingredient that's used mainly for maple syrup. So we're going to be using 1/4 cup of maple syrup, and the whole recipe will just be down below in the description too. And then I have about 1/2 to 3/4 cup of millet. So this is puffed millet, and millet is technically a seed. And so you can get this usually in the bulk section of your grocery store or in the cereal aisle. You just wanna make sure that, again, the only ingredient is millet. So basically what they're taking here is they're just taking millet, which is a seed, and they're just putting it in the oven and allowing it to puff up, kind of like popcorn. So this allows it to have a little bit more substance, holds this dish together, and it also just makes it so it has some different textures. And we're going to be using 1 cup of just pure peanut butter. You can also use almond butter, cashew butter, whatever type you like. So if you're allergic to peanuts, you can swap it out for whatever you prefer. Just make sure that it is just pure peanut butter or almond butter. So in the ingredients, it doesn't have added oils or any added sugar. The first step is to put everything except for the chocolate into this bowl. I have the millet already in the bowl, and I'm going to add in the peanut butter, which means I have to measure it, which means I have to wash this later. Ugh. So we have about 1 cup of peanut butter here, adding that in. And if you need to heat up your peanut butter a little bit to make it a little melty, that's totally fine. When I made this original batch yesterday, I just freshly ground it at the grocery store. So it was still a little like squishy, so it was perfect. So definitely if you have access to that freshly ground peanut butter, go that route, it's much easier. 1/4 cup maple syrup. And I'm just going to mix this together. You just want to mostly make sure that the maple syrup is all evenly stirred in, and then that the millet is also evenly stirred in. So this is roughly what you want it to look like. Now the next step is take about 1 tablespoon of the peanut butter mixture, and then you're just going to form it into little balls. So it's going to be pretty sticky at first. You can see my hands, pretty sticky, but that's okay because these are going to freeze up, and that's how we're going to dip it in chocolate. The ones I made yesterday were like much prettier and more round. These ones are a little bit more sticky than yesterday. They're gonna have like some spikes. That's fine. I'm gonna have a lot of these left, so I'm probably gonna bring this to my Halloween party. So depending on how big you make the little peanut butter balls, you're going to get more. So this is the exact recipe I made yesterday, and it made 12, 13, 14. And today I made them a little bit bigger, and I made 7, 8, 9. So it really just depends on how big that you make them and how many servings you'll get out of it. So I'm gonna pop this in the freezer to allow them to harden. Now this is the part I always get made fun of about, and it's how I melt my chocolate chips. So I don't use a microwave, and so how I melt it is using the old school stovetop method. All that you do is put your chocolate chips in some type of heat-proof dish, and then you put in some water so that it covers about 1 inch or so of this. I have it about medium heat, and then you just let that sit. So that's the method that you can use if you don't want to use a microwave. As you guys can see, my chocolate has been sufficiently melted, so I'm going to be taking this out, and I'm also going to take out our peanut butter mixture. These are like semi-soft now. You could actually wait to put them in a little longer. I waited about 10 minutes. If you wanted to wait for like 30 minutes, that'd probably be better, just so it'll set a little easier, but this still works. So you can see it's a lot less sticky than it was before. So I'm just going to dip this into the chocolate. You just want the bottom part really. You don't even need a lot. Get it in there, set it back down. So I used about 1/4 cup of chocolate, but really we just need enough to make sure that we can get all of these dipped. If you like a little bit more chocolate, then feel free to add a little bit more, but you also might waste some chocolate if you use more than that, because you don't need as much as you might think. I use about 1/4 cup, and it still looks like I'm going to have some leftovers here. Get this one really dipped in the chocolate to use it up. All right, that last one is not pretty. So we're going to put these back into the freezer and let it sit. The longer you let it sit, the better, and you can have this for overnight. So if you wanted to make it like the night before a Halloween party, totally works. Just keep it in the freezer so it doesn't melt. Then you can just take it out when you're ready to have them. So these were the ones that I made yesterday, so you can see that they are much more solid. See? Let's take a bite. All the peanut butter and chocolate vibes. Oh my God. If you wanted to, you could even swap out the millet for coconut if you like the peanut butter coconut flavor. I just wanted to switch it up, do something a little different than what I've done because you guys know I love coconut. But coconut would be also a really amazing swap in this recipe. If you love this science-backed information on how you can feel amazing again, make sure you subscribe to my channel right here and turn on the notification bell. I come out with new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right guys, have a really safe Halloween. Enjoy all these amazing desserts and I'll see you in my next video.